Very good afternoon to everyone, my dear students. In the last class, I have discussed about a particular function. It is called greatest integer function and its properties. And today I am going to discuss its continuity. That means whether this function is continuous at all points in its domain or not. That's I am going to discuss very special one, and check whether it is continuous in its domain or not. Okay, आज हम ये डिस्कस करेंगे तो उसकी कंटिन्यूटी के बारे में. तो ग्रेटेस्ट इंटीजर फंक्शन को डिस्कस किया था इन द लास्ट क्लास में. वो फंक्शन क्या था, एफ एक्स इक्वल टू बॉक्स एक्स वेयर its domain is what? Set of real number. F is a function from R to R. For every real number, x belongs to R. Fx equal to what? Box x, and which is an integer, greatest integer, which is a greatest integer less than equal than what? X. ये बॉक्स क्या हो जाता है? इंटीजर होती है. ठीक है. This is our discussion of today's topic. Okay. Now, before going to show that whether it is continuous at all points in its domain, domain means what? Set of real number. Real number की सब point में, every point में वो continuous होता है कि नहीं, ये देखना है हमें. Now, before going to discuss this particular function, just I want to remind you that we know that a function is continuous at arbitrary point. Suppose A belongs to domain of the function, domain of f, and A is an arbitrary point, then how to show that the function is continuous? Limit x tends to a, fx is equal to what? Fa. If you show this, that this function is that is limit x tends to fx is equal to what? Fa, that means limiting value of this function is equal to functional value at that particular point, then you can say that this function is continuous at a. That means to show that the function is continuous, A is a point fixed but arbitrary. It is fixed but what? Arbitrary. You cannot say, suppose it may be 1 or maybe 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 5, maybe minus 1, anything. But when it becomes, suppose A equal to 1, it becomes what? Fixed. Before that it is arbitrary. Okay. When it is A equal to 2, it is fixed. Before that it is arbitrary. That's why this A is a real, suppose real number, I consider it is a real number, then this real number may be any real number, that's why arbitrary, and when it becomes exactly a particular real number, it becomes fixed. Okay. So when suppose if I consider it is 1, then we cannot use this particular formula because it is fixed हो गया. जब fixed होगा तो हमारा formula क्या है? To check that the function is continuous at that particular point, then we can take x tends to 1 minus fx, left hand limit, and then what happen? Right hand limit, x tends to what? 1 plus fx is equal to what? F1. If we show that, then we can say that the function is continuous at that particular point. So particular point के लिए this is the definition to show that a function is continuous, and for arbitrary point this is the definition to show that the function is continuous. So I remind you this particular result. Okay. And suppose A is fixed, then you can take this is A, this is A, this is A. Okay. This is what? The function is continuous at x is equal to A, where I am taking A is a fixed one. Here I am taking A is what? Not fixed. It is an arbitrary one. It is an what? Arbitrary number. Okay. Now our discussion is what about that is a greatest integer function. The question is that check the continuity of the function fx is equal to what? Box x, where x belongs to R. Okay, check the continuity of this function, this, where box x is the greatest integer less than equal than x. This is the equation. Okay. So there are two cases we will get, because we already told you in the last class that if this is your set of real number, then set of real number is divided into two parts. One is integer, another is what? Not integer. Another is what? Not integer. Okay. So there will be two cases: x belongs to what? Z, or x does not belongs to what? Z. For two cases we are going to discuss. अगर x इंटीजर हो तो वहाँ में कंटिन्यूस हो रहा है कि नहीं चेक करेंगे. एंड व्हेन x बिलोंग्स डज नॉट बिलोंग्स टू z, इट इज़ सिंपल ए रियल नंबर नॉट इंटीजर, देन व्हाट हैपन अबाउट दिस पॉइंट, कंटिन्यूटी होगा कि नहीं. दैट इज आवर आइडिया. ओके, लेट अस टेक c बिलोंग्स टू r, be an arbitrary real number. Okay, we take an arbitrary, c be an arbitrary real number, c be an arbitrary real number. तो ये c क्या होगा? टू केसेस होगा. केस वन, लेट c does not belongs to what? Z, because any real number what happen can be divided into two part. One is integer, another is what? Non-integer. I am taking first c is not integer. What happen? Then what happen? fc क्या होगा? You put x equal to c here, then it is equal to what? Box c. It is equal to what? Box c, and which can be an integer. Okay, which can be an integer, but कौन सा integer हमें पता नहीं. Box, it is an integer. Okay, and also limit x tends to c fx equal to limit x tends to c. fx का क्या है? फंक्शन का वैल्यू बॉक्स x है, तो लिमिट अगर पुट करेंगे, हमने लिमिट तो मिला है व्हेन x इक्वल टू c, अब c पुट कर दो, दिस इक्वल टू बॉक्स c. ओके, हो गया. सो लिमिट x टेंड्स टू c fx इज इक्वल टू व्हाट? बॉक्स c, एंड बॉक्स c इक्वल टू व्हाट? fc. बॉक्स c इज इक्वल टू व्हाट? fc. ये कौन सा डेफिनेशन है? लिमिट x टेंड्स टू a fx इक्वल टू व्हाट? fa टाइप. ओके, आपका जो डेफिनेशन है, ए फंक्शन इज कंटिन्यूअस एट एन आर्बिट्री पॉइंट बिकॉज c बिलोंग्स डज नॉट बिलोंग्स टू z, मीन c इज नॉट ए फिक्स्ड नॉन इंटीजर्स. नॉन इंटीजर कितना है? इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ नॉन इंटीजर्स आर देयर. सो इन दिस केस c इज एन आर्बिट्री. Here c belongs to r be an arbitrary. Among this some non-integer I have taken. All non-integers, those are all arbitrary. Therefore limit x tends to c fx is equal to fc. We got it by this limiting formula. Okay, and finally you can conclude that f is continuous at all non-integral points. Non-integral points. f is continuous at what? Non-integral points. ओके, जितना नॉन इंटीग्रल है सब नॉन इंटीग्रल में क्या है? ये फंक्शन क्या है? कंटिन्यूअस है. कंटिन्यूअस, उसमें कोई ब्रेक नहीं है. नॉन इंटीजर में क्या है? ब्रेक नहीं. जैसे नंबर लाइन हो, ये 0 है, ये 1 है, ये 2 है, ये -1 है. सपोज -1 छोड़ के, ये 0 छोड़ के, बाकी सारी जगह में दिस इज व्हाट? कंटिन्यूअस. इसमें फंक्शन क्या है? कंटिन्यूअस. ये सारी पॉइंट में फंक्शन क्या होगा? कंटिन्यूअस होगा, कोई ब्रेक नहीं होगा. नाउ आवर जॉब इज टू चेक दिस टाइप ऑफ पॉइंट. इंटीजर होगा तो क्या होगा? इंटीजर में क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है कि कंटिन्यूअस हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है? दैट वी आर गोइंग टू चेक. दिस इज लिमिट एक्स टेंड्स टू एफ एक्स इज इक्वल टू एफ ए टाइप. वो जो फार्मूला है वो फार्मूला सेटिस्फाई किया है. दैट्स वाई एफ इज कंटिन्यूअस एट ऑल नॉन इंटीग्रल पॉइंट्स. एफ एक्स इज कंटिन्यूअस एट सी. fx is continuous at c means f is continuous at all non-integral point because c is a non-integral point. ठीक है. Now case 2, I am going to discuss about what? Case 2. Case 2 क्या है? If c belongs to what? Z. If c belongs to what? Z. केस नंबर क्या है? c अगर इंतज़ार हो तो क्या होगा? Now I am taking c, suppose c equal to 1 और c equal to 2 और c equal to 3. सारी पॉइंट में एक एक पॉइंट में इंडिविजुअली टेस्ट करना होगा. I am going to test for C and then putting for C equal to 0, 1, 2, 3 will get every point. Okay, then let us take left hand limit. Limit x tends to what? C minus fx. Okay, is equal to limit x tends to C minus fx क्या है? बॉक्स x है, रिप्लेस कर दिया है. Okay, now very interesting thing is there. What? x tends to C माइनस, उसका मतलब है x इज लेस देन C. हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था, इफ x इज अप्रोचेस टू C फ्रॉम लेफ्ट, इसका मतलब है x इज लेस देन व्हाट? C. फ्रॉम हियर यू कैन राइट x इक्वल टू C माइनस समथिंग. C माइनस समथिंग. व्हाट इज h? h इज ए पॉजिटिव क्वांटिटी. h इज ए व्हाट? पॉजिटिव क्वांटिटी, राइट? So x tends to what? C minus implies x is less than C, and when x is less than C, so x is equal to C minus something. C minus something. Now I am converting x in terms of h. तो x का जो लिमिट है उसको चेंज करके h में लिमिट में कन्वर्ट होना होगा. Therefore x tends to C minus implies h tends to what? 0. तो अगर x का अप्रोक्सीमेट वैल्यू आप C पुट कर ले उधर, C माइनस तो इज नॉट ए नंबर, आई एम पुटिंग C. x इज इक्वल टू C इधर पुट कर लेंगे तो C कैंसिल होगा, तो h इज टेंस टू व्हाट? 0 होगा. तो हमारा फंक्शन का वैल्यू क्या आ रहा है? लिमिट ये x टेंस टू C माइनस की हो क्या हो रहा है? h टेंस टू 0 हो रहा है, एंड x के जगह में आप C माइनस h पुट कर दीजिए. ये पुट x इज रिप्लेस बाय व्हाट? C माइनस h. Now very interesting result is that already discussed. This is your C, this is your C plus 1, and this is your what? C minus 1. Okay, and now C minus h, what where h is positive, ये C minus h थोड़ा कम होगा. माइनस किया है C से हम h को माइनस किया, तो ये C minus h जो रिजल्ट आएगा, ये रिजल्ट क्या होगा? इट विल बी लेस देन C. इट विल बी लेस देन C. तो C से थोड़ा सा पीछे आएंगे. दिस इज योर C minus h. Now C minus h is what? C is an integer, h is an small real number. C minus h is also a real number. तो दो इंटीजर के बीच एक रियल नंबर है, तो उसका बॉक्स जब लेंगे, whenever you take box, उसका बॉक्स क्या हो जाएगा? लेफ्ट वाला होगा. तो हम क्या लिखेंगे इधर? लिमिट h टेंस टू 0 C minus 1. ठीक, and C is an integer, 1 is an integer, C minus 1 is an integer, so it is a constant quantity, and limit of a constant is what? Constant is what? It is equal to what? Constant. Limit of a constant is equal to what? Constant. ठीक है. Finally left hand limit is equal to what? C minus 1. Now left hand limit exists or not, let us, you have to check. Okay, when we know that a left hand limit is exist if it is finite and fixed. Now this C is an integer. Suppose C equal to 3, तो 3 minus 1 क्या होगा? 2 हो जाएगा. तो 2 is a finite हो जाएगा, fixed भी हो जाएगा. Understood? Suppose you take C equal to about 5, तो ये क्या बनेगा? 5 minus 1 4 होगा. So again it is finite and fixed. That's why left hand limit exists. That's why left hand limit exists. And let us go to check right hand limit. हमें left hand limit मिल गया C minus 1. Okay. Now let us check right hand limit. Right hand limit क्या है? Right hand limit is equal to limit x tends to C plus, means x is approaches to C from the right. Right से approach होगा. This is your C. This is your C, and x is approaches to C from right. Fx is equal to limit x tends to C plus fx क्या है? It is equal to what? Box x. It is equal to what? Box x. Now x tends to C plus. X tends to C plus means what do you understand? We understand x is equal to x tends to C plus means x is equal to x is greater than C, and x is greater than C means x is equal to what? C plus something. C plus what? Something. What is h? h is a positive quantity. ठीक है, h is a positive quantity. Now change the limit. हम क्या करेंगे? इस लिमिट को चेंज करेंगे. x tends to what? C होगा, C plus, x का वैल्यू अगर c पुट करो तो c कैंसिल हो गए, h टेंस टू क्या हो जाएगा, 0 हो जाएगा, h टेंस टू क्या होगा, 0 हो जाएगा। तो फाइनली ये रिजल्ट क्या होगा, x टेंस टू c प्लस के जगह में आप क्या लिख सकते हो, यू कैन राइट व्हाट h टेंस टू 0। सो लिमिट h टेंस टू व्हाट 0 एंड x के जगह में आप क्या लिखेंगे, व्हाट विल रिप्लेस बाय x, इट विल रिप्लेस बाय c प्लस h। नाउ you have to see what is the position of c plus h। c plus h का पोजीशन क्या है, c से थोड़ा बड़ा होगा because h is positive, so c plus h is present in between c and c plus 1 and therefore box of c plus h will be the left one and you can say limit h tends to 0, limit h tends to 0, box of c plus h is equal to c and इसका limiting value क्या होगा, c होगा। तो फाइनली व्हाट वी गेट, राइट हैंड लिमिट इज इक्वल टू व्हाट, c and since c is a integer so it is a finite and fixed quantity and therefore right hand limit is also exist, right hand limit is also exist। but from these two result what is your left hand limit, left hand limit क्या मिला था, left hand limit was c minus 1, right hand limit is what, c if this is an integer then c minus 1 is an integer, ये अगर 1 होगा तो ये 0 होगा, ये अगर 2 होगा तो ये क्या होगा, 1 होगा, ये 3 होगा तो ये क्या होगा, 2 होगा। दैट मीन्स c and c minus 1 are not equal। सिंस लेफ्ट हैंड लिमिट इज नॉट इक्वल टू व्हाट, राइट हैंड लिमिट, देयरफॉर f इज, जो पॉइंट हमने लिया था, कौन सा पॉइंट, c लिया था, f इज डिसकंटिन्यूअस, f is what, discontinuous at x equal to c। okay, what is c, we suppose that c is what, c is an what, integer, c is an what, integer, integers are called integral numbers, 0 1 2 3 minus 1 minus 2 minus 3 all are called integral numbers। okay, and therefore f is discontinuous at all integral points, integral means integer। okay, understood। ultimately your function f(x) equal to box x, ये जो function है, this function is continuous at non integral points। okay, continuous at what, non integral point। आपका जो domain क्या था, domain of the set of real number, this is integer and this is what, jth complement, not integer। okay, it is continuous at all non-integral point but it is discontinuous at all integral points। okay, f is discontinuous at all integral points। ठीक है, this is the actually discussion of this particular class and very special function। I hope that you understand this, go through this video, try to understand, if still you have a query then you can free to ask the query, there will be no any problem and I definitely reply on you and try to make you understand। okay, so thank you very much।